We have a great conversation with our friend Marianne. From her first experience at Disney as a small child to becoming a DVC owner, she shares some of her special family trips to Disney, and in those stories are invaluable information and advice from saving money to making your trip one to remember or one you might just want to forget. Episode 399 of the Disney Crush podcast is starting right now.
From the Crush Studio in sunny Florida, this is the Disney Crush Podcast. And now your two tempests in a teacup, Dave and Tony Ann.
We have a really special guest coming on this week, Mary Ann. We've been trying to get her on. Tony Ann, thank you. You finally made it happen. A lot has been going on. I mean, Tony Ann went to Tennessee. She loved it so much that she went to an Airbnb there. And they did IVs. They catered in food. What else did they do? Yes. They gave you sponge baths. I mean, I heard this is a really upscale Airbnb.
And the bill was over $300,000
wow.
that I've seen so far.
You were really going for it, weren't you?
Yes.
That's Airbnb elevated right there. Whew. Good grief. She's not in the Crush studio yet. Her rider, oh my gosh. I know I'm in charge of the riders. It was like 10 pages long.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh. She was kind of like you, elevated.
Right. I have a little bit of an update on the Disney Dream overboard situation. Last week I said the girl looked like she was 7 or 8. Turns out she was 5.
Oh, God.
She was 5. So I guess she knew how to swim. I mean, my kids knew how to swim young. But swimming in the ocean and when you have a cruise ship going full speed next to you, Rich says that they're lucky they didn't get pulled under the boat.
Yeah, right.
If you're too close to the boat going at that speed, he was in the Navy and he saw people go overboard. That happens a lot in the Navy because of mental health things. People jump overboard. So Rich did see that happen many times, and he said more often than not they got pulled under. But these people didn't get pulled under. This is very uplifting, friends of the Disney Crush podcast.
No, it is.
But they said the girl was sitting on a railing and fell backwards through a porthole. And so it was no blame of the parents. The girl fell backwards through a porthole. The mom saw it happen and alerted the dad, and the dad jumped overboard. The dad didn't actually see it happen.
Well, the thing is, too, at that height, they had to fall just right, because if they fell flat, like a belly flop or something like that, could have really messed them up internally and stuff.
Yeah.
So they both were lucky in that regard.
They're both okay. He treaded water for 20 minutes, holding on to her, and
well, now that they're both okay,
he got to her.
Yeah. Well, that's what I said.
The boat was moving full speed, so he was able to get to her. Now that we know he didn't jump immediately, Mom had to get him.
Yeah. I'm glad they're okay. Test Track. Yeah. There's a lot of news about Test Track. They had, I guess, a vehicle had an impact with the doors as it comes open, when it goes outside.
Yeah.
And they're saying these doors are made of foam.
If you don't, Dave's talking about at the end of Test Track, before you go outside, these doors fly open. It's like the big climax of the ride. Mm-hmm.
I mean, don't think the foam, when people say foam, when I heard foam, I mean, I heard about this on Blog Mickey, and it was, they were saying that the sliding door, it was during a cast member preview, and they have now since then turned this thing off, thankfully.
Yeah.
But I guess, you had your influencers first come, and then the cast members. Oh, that reminds me, the influencers, they did email us, and we could have attended, but I told them that you were busy and at the Airbnb, and that you you couldn't make it, and
plus I'm mad at Josh, so I don't want to bump into him.
Right. But 4 people were hurt. Nobody was taken to the hospital, which is a little strange. So you're hurt. How bad are you hurt? Or are you not really hurt? I don't know.
Yeah.
But the foam door is not like a foam like you think if you get, let's say, a TV or something, and you know how you open up and you get the foam. No, it's very sturdy foam, but it is made to break away if something happens. Yeah, I don't know. That's not good. I mean, I know they're getting the kinks out, but that's another kink. And then GM, they're sponsoring it. That doesn't look good for them. I mean, not that it has anything to do with them, but they paid a lot of money probably to have that thing refurbed or help. Accidents happen, Tony Ann. I mean, I lost a hand on Tiana, and I got a picture to prove it. So
That's true, you did.
I do. Yeah, they'll probably end up doing something with those doors. Obviously, they're gonna have to do something different. I think they're saying they're now keeping them open because they
have them open right now.
Yeah, I have to make a confession. I normally don't watch any videos of any of the new things that come out, any of the attractions or whatever. Mm-hmm. I did watch it, and it does look. I have to say, it does look better. They got rid of the make your own car part. That thing that whatever. And it does look. It does look better, but I can't say because I haven't been. We're thinking about going, so we'll find out. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll let you know.
I will not be going
if I go,
but it'll still be there when I return.
You go back to Tennessee?
No, but when I make my triumphant return to Disney, it will still be there. People message me and said, "Oh, you coming?" Because we have some friends that are going to be there that weekend, and I am not. I don't think it would be wise. I'm currently on FMLA. If there's a picture of me on Facebook riding Test Track, I don't think that would go over very well with my job.
No.
So. I'm not quite ready for a Disney trip yet. We'll just have to wait.
We have a very special guest coming on, Mary Ann. You want to see if she's in the green room?
Yeah, let's see.
And see how that rider went?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi.
Hello, people. Hello.
How's it going?
It's going great.
Where do you live?
I live in Omaha,
Nebraska.
Omaha. So you're an hour behind us, right?
Yeah, I am. It's 5:30, and I just sent people to go pick up dinner.
Oh,
Ooh,
good.
nice.
This is well timed. I don't have to cook dinner.
I didn't send anyone to go pick up dinner yet.
I know. I had to make
See,
dinner.
Yeah. Nope, I sent people. It was that night. So.
See, Tony, what I said at the beginning of the show, her rider was like 10 pages long. I mean, literally 10 pages long.
He said the reason we couldn't get you on was you had like a Madonna rider. Like you had all these things we had to have for you.
Yeah, well,
She's getting dinner delivered. See? There we go.
That's
So
right.
Right. Exactly.
Or it's just because it's hotter than Hades and I don't want to cook.
I bet.
My neighborhood is going to start exploding here in a few minutes because one of the wonderful things about living in the Midwest is that very often you don't live in the city, and I don't live actually in the city. And so therefore fireworks are perfectly legal where I live.
Yep. Well, they're legal. We live in Florida, so everything's legal.
This is like fireworks show level fireworks. It's insane.
Yeah.
And it's
Our family used to do fireworks, show level fireworks back when the men were younger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
And they were
2 weeks,
less careful. They didn't think about their mortality. Now they think about their mortality a little bit more.
That's probably wise. But it tends to be one side of our street, and the other side of our street, they shoot them at each other in the air.
Oh, nice. Like a little battle. That's cool.
Yeah, but I'm over it.
Yeah.
So
it's like our neighborhood. Our neighborhood is the same. And the thing about our neighborhood is, Marianne, they start a week early, and then the next day it goes on for like 3 or 4 more days. And I'm like, it is so bad on our street. After about an hour or two, it's like fog. The whole street is fog.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Well,
crazy.
especially with the humidity down there.
Yeah.
Because we haven't hit, it's humid in Nebraska, because it's a plain state. So we get some humidity, especially this time of year. But at the end of July and the beginning of August, we will get peak humidity because of the corn. There's something called the corn sweats. And it's, you don't believe it till you live here. And it's like the humidity jumps 10% based on where the corn is growing. So when the corn gets to a peak stage, when it's sweating, when the kids have to go out and detassel it, the corn sweats are real, and it's so humid. Oh my gosh, it's so humid. And we live out just close enough to a bunch of cornfields that,
Well, now you've got me.
Dave, I think you had the corn sweats in Animal Kingdom one time, didn't you?
Oh my gosh. You always have the corn sweats in Animal Kingdom. God, thank God right now that park's a half-day park.
Uh-oh, those are fighting words, Dave.
Oh, geez, Louise, you all need to come visit me and I will show you animals in a zoo that are perfect. So my kids, we probably shouldn't even talk about this before people know me, but we live in Omaha, Nebraska. Look up what the #1 zoo in the world is right now.
Yeah.
It's the Omaha Henry Dorley Zoo. It takes 2 days to see everything in our zoo if you're walking our zoo. I mean, and the best part of it is up close to the entrance of the zoo are all the buildings. We have a 3-story tall jungle that you go through the different layers of the jungle. Wow. And the animals are not in the cages. You are as you're walking through. Because you can, for example, when Katie was a baby and sitting in her stroller, a spider monkey hopped out of its habitat into the people area, jumped on her stroller and ate her Cheetos.
Oh my goodness.
And the bats fly free through it. And the other birds can fly free through it. And
that's amazing.
So we have that. We have an aquarium that is pretty incredible for being in the middle of Nebraska. We have a desert dome that you walk through all the different deserts in the world and see all of those kind of creatures. And then you go in the basement of the desert dome and it's the kingdoms of the night where all the nocturnal animals are. They turn the lights up during the night for people to walk through or for the animals to think that it's daytime. But during the day, the lights are out, except some very light glow so that you can see where you're walking. And you get to see all these nocturnal animals living their lives because they think it's nighttime.
That is so cool.
It's so amazing.
That is.
And then they've got...
They tricked them into thinking that nighttime is daytime, so they're awake at the time when the guests are there.
Right. And then you go further into the zoo, and then that's where all the animals that live outdoors are. And our Pride Rock usually has 25 to 30 lions on it.
Nice.
So when my kids ride that silly Kilimanjaro safari ride and we go by the lions and the keeper gets so excited and I'm going, yeah, because it's air conditioned up there. That's why the lions freaking land up there. And there's 3 lions. I had a child turn it to me, maybe the second time we rode the ride, and said, "Hey, Mom, where are all the animals?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Dude, you saw them." And he goes, "Mom, that's just lame. If our zoo can have them, why can't they have them? They're Disney." And I was like, "I don't know, bud."
Oh, you can see them. You just got to pay a little extra money for a VIP tour. That's all. And then you get up and close and personal with them too.
We don't have to pay nearly that much to do those VIP tours here. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying, to us, we go in, we do Pandora, get that out of the way, so we don't have to pay for that. And then Everest till they puke, and used to be dinosaur.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe go back up and hit Festival of the Lion King and Kilimanjaro safaris if we have nothing really planned, but we're usually out of there by noon.
Oh, they probably like Primeval Hurl too when it was there, didn't they?
Oh my gosh, yes. And because in Kansas City, where my parents are from and where I grew up, there is a ride called Spinning Dragons at Worlds of Fun, which is a Cedar Fair park. And Dan and I always laugh that Spinning Dragons is Primeval Hurl.
Yeah, it totally is. Ride.
It was.
Right, they bought that ride off the shelf.
It's exactly the same ride. It's the exact same ride track, everything. And so, yes, my kids have always liked that ride.
Yeah, my wife confuses me. She will not go on Everest and a lot Galaxy. A lot of rides.
She'll
Guardians.
go on Tiana.
No, but she'll go on that. She used to go on Hurl. That Primeval Hurl was her favorite. Oh yes, she loved that thing. Loved it.
She did.
I should have sent her on it that one time. I could have broken her. My big kids, who are the rebel scum, they don't want you to know their names. The rebel scum, who are all grown-ups now, were middle elementary school age, and they begged. And it was almost midnight. Park was almost going to close, and we were at Worlds of Fun on Primeval Hurl in Kansas City. And my sister said, "Oh, we should go with it." And I was like, "I guess I'm going home and going to bed. So if I throw up, okay." So left Tom and Katie out and my mom off because they're the smart people.
Mhm.
And Joyce and I rode the ride, and Joyce and I are sitting across from each other, and Katie, Rebel Scum 1, Rebel Scum 2 are sitting across from each other. Well, Joyce and I are full-grown adults, and we're not skinny mini adults.
Mhm.
Little kids. The weight
Right.
was thrown off.
Oh,
We
yeah,
came
yeah.
back into the ride at the end, and our car did not stop spinning.
Oh, no.
Over 30 seconds.
Oh, I would have hurled. I would.
I mean, hardcore spinning.
You were in some centrifugal force situation.
The ride operators were like, we've never seen this before. Oh, I mean, they're teenage boys, and so they're so excited about this. And I'm going, yeah, if I don't hurl on your shoes as we walk out, come on, kids, let's go. You know?
Oh, my
We
gosh.
got off and got down to the rest of our family, and everybody looked at us and said, you guys look green. I said, yeah, we broke the ride. Or the ride broke us. I don't know which, but I've never been great at spinning rides since I was a little kid. So I'm kind of that girl. If it spins, I don't usually ride it, which means I'm very sad to be the one always sitting out at Guardians. But
Yeah.
because I love the concept, but I just can't.
I can do Guardians, but I think I did Primeval Hurl one time, and I said, that's it. I'm done. No, that's not for me.
Oh, Everest does me in. I can't do Everest. I mean, for me, Animal Kingdom is a joke.
Yeah.
We go in, I ride like 1-2 rides, and we're done.
Flight of Passage probably gets you too then.
Yep.
Yeah.
Soarin' doesn't, Flight of Passage does, and I think it's all because of those stupid glasses.
Yeah, it could be.
Because Ratatouille sends me every time, but
Really?
but Mickey and Minnie doesn't.
Yeah, Ratatouille does me a little bit too. It's really weird. That one gets me. Yeah,
I think it's the glasses. I think it's the 3D glasses.
probably.
But yeah. So now you've already heard my first hot take is Animal Kingdom. Now, if they actually build all that they're saying they're building, I think it'll be worthwhile to go to again once.
Yeah. Yeah.
I only go because Flight of Passage is my husband's very favorite ride. Well, maybe second. His very favorite is Rise, but that would be his other very favorite ride. He thinks that he just giggles the whole time. He thinks that's so funny. So
I agree with him. That's my second favorite. Guardians is my first, and that one's my second probably.
yeah.
yeah, I think he's getting a little old for Guardians. Guardians is in the top 3, but I think it's third because Guardians is just a little more intense, and even though he's, big, burly, quiet guy, he's still, I think.
I think a lot of us have resolved ourselves to riding Guardians once.
Yeah.
Like when we first started going, when it first opened, a lot of us would ride it twice a day. And I know a lot of my friends now are saying, I'll ride it once. They don't want to ride it back to back like we used to.
Oh gosh, no way.
Yeah.
Now, back to back, I have rides I can do back to back.
Okay. What are they?
Living with the Land. I can ride
wow.
Living with the Land all day. I wouldn't even get bored. I would sit there and go, oh, look at that plant. And oh, look at that plant. And oh, look at that plant. My family goes, oh my God, we're on this ride again. And I just go, we always joke about the slow boat ride or that kind of thing. Then I said, if Small World's boats were a little bit more comfortable, I'd ride Small World all day. But no. It's, the boat isn't that comfortable, so I can't do. I can tune out. I can tune out the obnoxious song. I'm a preschool teacher. I can tune out about anything like that. But I could definitely ride Living in the Land and the Three Caballeros all day long.
Okay.
All day long. Katie and I've done the Three Caballeros. 2 hours.
Really?
At close one night. Got on about 7:30 and they let us ride till like 9:30.
Okay.
So I don't know. I think they were just amused with how long we just looked at them and said, do we have to get out? And they said, nope. So it's near the end, we got a couple of all by ourselves rides, which was totally awesome.
Now that you've let us know that Animal Kingdom's your favorite park, which is your second favorite park?
Oh, my second favorite park. I'm an Epcot girl.
Oh, so your number one park is Epcot. Okay. Yeah.
I'm an Epcot girl. I think there's so much variety in Epcot. Such great entertainment and such great shows at Epcot. I mean, Epcot, I can do Epcot all day.
Yeah.
My favorite food's in Epcot. So there you go. I mean, that's entire family's favorite food is in Epcot.
Yeah, Epcot's grown on me over the years. Used to be like one of my probably my least favorite, but now it's starting to grow on me.
You didn't like learning when you
No, no.
You didn't like learning. That's okay. That's okay.
Is it all the food at Epcot, or is there something in particular
No, there's something in particular.
What is it?
The baguette. I mean,
That's
it's
my favorite too.
cheap.
That's my
cheap.
favorite too.
It's a filling snack, and I can almost feed Katie one full baguette and call it lunch, and she is perfectly happy with that idea.
Me too. Mm-hmm.
My other favorite is the quiche from La Halle.
Yeah.
I always get quiche, and we stayed at Boardwalk on our last trip. And one morning was a quiet morning because we were going lit to an after hours event, so I wasn't moving anybody fast in the morning. And Katie got up and she came into our room and said, "Hey, Mom, do you think we could scooter eat some France Pavilion?" And I said, "Yeah, I can go scooter eat some France Pavilion."
Scooter eats. I love that.
Since I use an ECV a lot at the park.
Right.
2 broken ankles back to back. I have decided that I need to be careful at places where I don't walk all the time. So scootering has been our better option. And
Good.
I giggled that she was like, "Can we scooter eats?" And I said, "Yeah," because it took me all of 10 minutes to get there. And then it took me, I parked and went in, and took me 40 minutes in line and to get it, but came back with baguettes and quiche for breakfast for everybody, and my people were happy. And
nice.
And Tom's favorite thing to eat at the parks is the ham and cheese sandwich there.
Right. It's good.
Again, because it's cheap and really, really good.
Good, yeah.
So
cheap and good. That's two good things.
Cheap and good, because that's our jam. We are the save money at Disney family. So
that's wonderful. So, Marianne, I wanted to ask you, what's your Disney story? Like, when did you start coming? When was your first trip? Like, what made you fall in love with it? What's your Disney story?
I grew up in the Midwest, right? And so it's a haul for us to go to Disney. Yeah. And I grew up in a family that you didn't go on vacation if you didn't go visit a family member. Because heavens to Betsy, my Boilermaker dad was not going to pay for a motel. Certainly not a hotel, but a motel to take his family to some horrible amusement park type of thing. But by the 1980 rolls around and I turned 10 and my sister's 9 and my dad finally gives in. My brother is a fully grown adult by this point, and he says, "Oh, I am not going on that trip with you. No way. That sounds horrible." Dad put Joyce and I and my mom in the car with a cooler in the big station wagon with all the seats folded down and all of our pillows and sleeping bags in the back. And we drove to Anaheim because Aunt Betty and Uncle Joe lived in Anaheim. So we could stay at Aunt Betty and Uncle Joe's house. And we went to Disneyland back in the days of e-ticket, like actual ticket books.
Yeah.
And my mom bought like 2 ticket books, and that was all we could ride. Because again, it was they were trying to do it as inexpensively as they could, but still have the experience. And I just remember being just enamored with all of it.
Yeah.
And it was such a cool experience. So then senior year in high school rolls around, and my mother's mom took each grandchild on a vacation for spring break by themselves with her.
Nice.
It was a neat bonding experience type of thing. And you got to pick anywhere in the whole wide world where you wanted to go. If I would have said Paris, we would have gone to Paris. No, what did I say? Gaga, there's this new place called Epcot Center in Florida. Can we go? And she was like, I guess. She goes, what is Epcot Center? I said, it's a part of Disney World. And she goes, so we're going to Disney World? And I said, yes, please. She goes, can we go anywhere else? And I was like, I don't know anywhere else. And she was like, well, we'll go to the Space Center and we'll see that. And then, what was the name of the place that they did the water skiing?
Oh, Cypress Gardens.
She was dying to go to Cypress Gardens. So we did.
Which is now Legoland.
Which is now Legoland, right? But we did Cypress Gardens. We did the Kennedy Space Center. We did one day at Magic Kingdom and one day at Epcot Center. And I went, this is the best place ever. We
Yeah.
ate at Sunshine Seasons, and I'll never forget, I thought it was the best mac and cheese I'd ever had in my entire life. And I was like, we got home and my mom said, well, how was it? I said, it was great. My grandmother said, it was very boring. And she goes, but I loved spending time with Mary Ann. And I was like, it was great. It was fabulous.
Yeah.
And then this is how I know you could have gone anywhere, because the next year my sister was a senior in high school and she picked Hawaii.
Wow.
But my mom decided she was going on the Hawaii trip and I was going too. So I got 2 senior trips out of the deal.
Oh,
so
nice.
Sweet.
it worked out.
Sweet.
It worked out. But then my dad and mom, we were dating boys seriously in college. My brother had got married, and my dad and mom were going, we're going to lose them. They're going to grow up and they're going to be adults, and we're never going to get to do something like this again. Girls, you want to go on vacation? Yes. So we went as a family. We drove to Florida and went on a family trip as college kids.
Nice.
Right after Hollywood Studios opened.
Oh, cool.
And my dad was miserable the whole time because he does not like amusement parks.
Right.
But we loved it. And so then I thought, well, good. I've had my experiences. That's great. When I have kids, we'll go. We'll go once. And that's exactly what we did. When my dad passed away, my mom and my sister and I and my husband took our 3 kids who were 9, 7, and 2 during the year of a million dreams. And Jack had his actual birthday while we were there. So he got the birthday ticket where he could get a fast pass for our whole family on everything we wanted for one day.
Wow.
Which at the time, when the old paper fast pass machines, that was golden at Hollywood Studios on a Star Wars weekend. Because that was his birthday. And we got to do everything, and it was so fabulous, and we had such a good time, and Katie loved the characters by the end of the trip. Thank God for Alice in Wonderland, who convinced her that characters were safe people.
Yeah.
And by the end of the week, she was all good. 2-year-old Katie was, and the big kids had a great time. And we came home, and I said, that was great. I'm so glad we did that. And I figured that was our once in a lifetime. We were done. My mom came down with cancer, and she and my dad were cruisers. They had been on, in their marriage, 35 different cruises in different parts of the world.
Wow.
I mean, they were, they'd done all the Viking River cruises. They'd done all the Caribbean cruises multiple times. They'd been to Alaska. They'd done the Panama Canal. They were cruisers. So my mom said, I've really missed cruising. Let's go on a cruise for Christmas. I said, okay, you book it. I don't care. Yeah. That sounds fun, Mom. And she called me a week later. She goes, since it's over Christmas break and the kids don't have to go to school. I said, yes. Now, the kids don't have to go to school, kind of. The big kids were middle school and going in high school age. So they did have things over the holiday.
Right.
And we were heavy dancers. So Nutcracker season was just ending, right as we were supposedly leaving for this trip. So it was a lot crazy for her to say this. She said, what I think I want to do is I think I want to stay 1 week longer, because we're going in and out of Port Canaveral, and that's right by Orlando. And the big kids would really enjoy Universal. I said, yeah, but what's Katie, who was 8 and didn't necessarily love big rides at the time, going to do, Mom? She goes, well, this is my thought. Joyce and Tom are going to take the bigs to Universal 4 or 5 times. And then you and me and Katie are going to play at Disney World for a week. I said, Mom, when are you thinking? She goes, well, we dock on December 27th. And I figure we'll just stay till the 3rd. I've already booked it. We're booked at the Polynesian.
Oh my gosh.
And
Twist my arm.
And I went, we're booked where? And she goes, yeah, I booked it at the Polynesian. At first I was going to book us at the All-Stars, but then I thought about buses, and it's a busy season. So I thought maybe being on the monorail would be better. And she just kept going and going and going. I said, so we're going to be at the Poly on New Year's Eve? She goes, yeah. And I was like, huh. So that's when I dove deep into planning Disney for the very first time, because I knew that this is like almost the worst week in the world.
It was going to be really busy
at Disney World. And it was 2015 into 16, you know, and things were still a little crazy in that, you know, Disney World time. It wasn't slow at all. And so I dove deep into planning. I got all of our fast passes. Mom bought the dining plan for one room. So Katie and I had the deluxe dining plan for a week. Holy cow. But it was great because Katie met all those characters. 8-year-old Katie, who now thought that was the best thing ever, got to have 1 or 2 character meals a day.
My gosh.
Nice.
Katie and Mom and I went one day to Universal. And the big kids went to Universal like 4 times, but Mom bought them 7 days worth of Disney tickets too with the package.
Oh my goodness.
And this trip was ridiculous. When I look back at this trip's why we bought DVC. Because this trip cost more than my DVC contract.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it was rack rate at the Poly because she decided this in October.
Right. So she didn't get any deals. And she did deluxe dining.
She did deluxe dining and tickets for all of us for the entire time we were there. Because once you've already bought 3 or 4 tickets, Marianne, it's so much cheaper. I said, yes, Mom. Yeah, I got that. I got that. But her whole thing was always, and someday I'll be a grandma. And I will be my mom. It's all about the time spent with them. And making the memories. And if you ask my 3 children about their Gaga, they're going to tell you what they miss the most is playing Clue at her house and traveling with her because she traveled with them a ton. Because we were staying at the Poly, the bungalows were new at the time. And Katie was like, I want to stay in that room. I said, I probably do too, but I'm not paying for that room. And so we were riding the boat, you know, back and forth to the park. She was like, that's a cool room. And I was like, yeah, that's a cool room. So the next summer, Mom booked another trip on another cruise because she was crazy girl and trying to build all the memories. But she did not want to go to Disney. But there were a few things we had missed that year before, including the Star Wars experience stuff where you get to fight Darth Vader and the stuff that's gone now that they really need to figure out how to bring back.
Yes, they do.
They really need to bring that, you know, Jedi Training Academy back and all that. So we went a week early and used points from my brother's timeshare, which is someplace in St. Martin, but he was able to trade it out for a week in a hotel in Orlando for us. In a 2-bedroom condo for my family of now 2 high schoolers and an elementary schooler. My big kids laid around all week. I bought them Universal tickets. They kind of went, they kind of didn't. They just basically laid around and shopped and went to the movies and had a great week. Tom dropped us off every morning at Disney. But the first day, I looked at him and I said, okay, we have to go do this. And he goes, what are we going to do? I said, we have to go to the DVC preview. And he goes, the DVC preview? Why? And I said, I need 3 floating fast passes desperately, Tom, because I had played some gray area games, and on top of our room, we also had a campground site that we never used.
I know that game.
I might have done that, and I didn't cancel it. I did pay for it all week because I felt guilty, but yet somebody didn't get to camp because I paid for a patch of grass for a week. But I needed a few more fast passes because I knew that there were things that she was going to want to do, and I needed those fast passes. And so we went to the preview center, and of course the big kids had to sit in on the presentation with us.
Really?
Because they were at loose ends. They were like, well, what are we going to do? And I was like, you can either sit in here, you go sit in the lobby. I don't care. They kept feeding them and giving them soda. So they sat in on the presentation. Katie went to the kids thing, and Tom and I sat in on the presentation. And when they crunched the numbers for me, and I realized, because I knew exactly what our trip a couple Christmases before had been. I knew exactly what the dollar figure was. And I went, dude. And he goes, what? I said, our trip to the Poly was more expensive than that. And he goes, no. I said, yeah, it totally was. And so we didn't obviously buy that day because I was there for three fast passes, and that's what I promised my very, very penny pinching husband that I was doing. So we walked out with our ice cream and our fast passes and went back to the hotel. And at the end of the week, I looked at Tom and I go, you know, when Mom passes away, and he goes, yeah. I said, I think I'd like to use part of my inheritance to pay for DVC. Mm-hmm. He goes, not college. I said, they have their own college funds from her.
Right.
I think I want to do this for our family now, but also when we're grandparents.
Right.
And I mean, I'm not going to spend a ton of money, Tom. I just would like to spend enough to do this. And then I've put away also out of that money for dues for a significant amount of years. So really, when I say we paid outright for our DVC, we have completely paid outright.
Yeah. Well, if you hadn't had that Polynesian experience, you wouldn't even thought about it probably.
No, because the time when the kids were very little, we'd stayed at Port Orleans French Quarter. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that trip was not that expensive. Mm-hmm. Right. Because I was in on the financial side of that one too. Mm-hmm. But that Polynesian trip, and when I realized how much we enjoyed that space. Yeah. I mean, we were at the time, we were in the hotel side of the Poly, so we weren't in the DVC side, but even just the space in a hotel deluxe is different. And then when I toured the rooms at Saratoga, I looked across the water and there was Disney Springs, and I knew I had these teenager kids. I was like,
right. Mm-hmm.
People always go, why in the world did you buy Saratoga Springs? I said, first of all, it's cheap to buy. Mm-hmm. Second of all, Disney Springs is right there.
It's perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
And for my family, it works. Mm-hmm. Right. It also has 2 big feature pools. Yep. That to me has always been a thing. I mean, to have 2 feature pools with 2 big slides. If one feels like overly kid busy, my big kids can go over to the other one and it's not as kid busy. And, it works out really well. Now, granted, do we stay at Saratoga very often anymore? No, because I'm pretty good at booking and moving us around and getting us other places. Mm-hmm. But still, it's home. And I love, love, love laundry in my room.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
I loved this trip when we came home in June. We were gone 12 nights, people. We were gone 12 nighs. And I brought home a suitcase and 2 carry-ons of clean laundry. Ready to put back in the Disney buckets.
Oh, right. And having to do laundry when you get home from vacation is priceless.
Mount Washmore sucks. Just ask Katie. She hasn't done her own laundry. I think it's been 6 weeks because all she's been doing for 2 days is laundry. And I told her she had to have it done before tomorrow. So she's up there finishing up the last of it. But it's just crazy how it all just slid together, And my mom passed away then later that summer after that summer trip. And she had a brain tumor and she, we went on a last cruise and had one big last hurrah as a family.
Oh, that's great.
Nice.
Yeah.
And just great experience. And then we were in the fall, we were DVC owners all of a sudden. I was like,
But being a DVC owner, and you said you very rarely stay at Saratoga. What is your favorite resort?
I think we would all tell you Boardwalk is our favorite.
Okay.
It's cheap points, so we can stay there more nights for the amount of points I own. And it's the back door of Epcot, walkable to Hollywood Studios, which is everybody's favorite 2 parks in my family. Mm-hmm. If we are just going just us, Boardwalk is our choice.
Yeah.
If we are going with our extended fake family, we call them, very close friends of ours whose kids are now middle school and high school age, about 4 years younger than Katie and then on down. There are 5 of them in their family. And if we're traveling with Katie and Garrett and the kids, we will most of the time try to stay at Old Key West. We need that space when we're putting, for Tracy's, because usually the oldest rebel scum doesn't usually choose to go with us. Okay. He's working in the real world. He doesn't have a lot of PTO, and he'd rather spend his PTO with his friends, which I'm totally cool.
Yeah, that's fine.
He's in that age of his life, and it's totally cool. But my Rebel Scum daughter and Katie and Tom and I, and then the Schweitzers, that's a full house in a 2-bedroom unit at DVC.
That old Key West 2-bedroom. I've stayed in one of those. It's nice.
They're huge. We swear that I don't think our family would go to Disney Well anymore without those big 1 and 2 bedrooms.
Mm-hmm. You can't imagine stuffing you guys into a little Pop Century room. At this point.
Yeah.
No. We extended our stay last summer by 1 day because we got a flight change on Southwest that gave us a whole nother day and refunded me points and like a whole bunch of stuff. So I was like, we're staying another day. And I went on and All-Star Sports, here we come. Because it was like $100 or $120. And I was like, okay. And I said, All-Star Sports, we can do it for one night. And Tom did not go on that trip. That's the only reason I was able to pull this off. So I had one of Katie and Garrett's kids, Katie and I, in one room. And Garrett had his whole family, the rest of his family in another. And I remember walking into that room after having been in a 2-bedroom all week at Old Key West and going,
yeah,
okay,
I can do this. I can do this.
when you pull down the Murphy bed in sports and you stand in between the 2 beds and you go,
there's no room.
like you barely fit in between the 2 beds. You go, this is very tight quarters. So yeah, that's, I don't think we could ever go back to that it's even hard to think about a studio because we use the laundry. We use it a ton. Yeah. And when Florida rains on us and somebody gets stubborn about changing their shoes can go in the dryer back in the room. I don't care. Yeah. It's not like the trip at Port Orleans where it was like a gully washer for like 10 hours.
Right.
And everybody's shoes were soaked and our room smelled like foot smell because we were trying to dry shoes and we're in a room at Port Orleans. So, with 5 of us. So, I think Boardwalk is my first choice. Old Key West, when I'm there with a lot of people, is and if I'm feeling bougie-ish, Riviera.
I hear that a lot.
Those rooms were, we had a standard room and we were pretty high and I could lay in bed and look at a mirror that they had put on the wall, a decorative mirror. And if I left the curtains open, I could see the fireworks from bed.
Wow.
Because it shone in the mirror and I just laid there and I was like, this is excellent.
That's nice.
We've stayed at Boulder Ridge and we liked it a lot too. I think a 2-bedroom at Boulder Ridge would be a great choice for us too. My husband thinks the Poly is kitschy and stupid, and so we don't ever have to go back there.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Poly. I'm really not. I mean, the new tower.
I think
I'd like to see those. I'd like to go in those rooms, but it's because I've gotten stuck in a rainstorm because going between the buildings, the Poly.
Yeah, and that's the problem at Boardwalk. That is the one problem at Boardwalk.
You got to go outside to get food.
Yes, if you do not have groceries in your room and you get stuck in the rain, or if you have got pop thing that you can only get refilled out at the Boardwalk Pizza or the deli.
Right.
Yeah.
That's annoying. That's annoying. Come on. They've tried. I think they've got this little coffee bar type thing now down there, but it's still not the same as
it's only open
food.
for a few hours a day too, I think.
Yeah, and it's not real food. So if you get stuck in and you can't get to things like the community hall very easily without getting just totally soaked. And the things we do on rainy days in our family, because my family, we use the community halls.
Nice.
We did something new this trip. Well, it wasn't totally new. We had kind of half-heartedly done it last year at Old Key West. But they put these little guys around the resort, whatever resort, they pick up character. And they have a plaque of the character. So at Boardwalk this summer, it's Goofy. And they hide a Goofy plaque somewhere in the resort. And if you find it, take a picture or a selfie with it, and then you go back to the community hall. They give you a button on the first time and a sticker for the next 4 times. And then if you find him 5 times, you get a prize out of a prize box.
Nice.
Real prizes, even. I mean, not exciting prizes, but if you had a little kid, they'd be all about. And we had such a good time in the afternoons finding Goofy during our mother mandated back at the resort time frame. Because in our world, you must go back to the resort after lunch. You must rest and you relax. And if you don't, I'm not going back to the park with you.
We say it all the time, don't we, Tony Ann? We say it. Go back to the room.
Yeah.
I do not stay in the parks. Rope drop to
close
sundown. But I real deal rope drop. I'm not one of those rope droppers that, because we don't like to wait in lines. So we are real deal rope droppers. Like we were 3 or 4 people back at Taps every day, the first 4 days of the trip. Because every different park.
Did you try anything else new on your most recent trip?
We did the villain show.
Oh,
Unfairly Ever After. We saw it 4 times.
Wow.
We went back to Hollywood Studios a day just to see it.
Nice.
It was actual. Well, we were rooting for somebody to win. And our guy never won. Hook never won. But we did see both Maleficent and Cruella win. But I will tell you, Cruella was the crowd favorite on every show. I was really surprised that Cruella didn't win every.
I read somebody on Facebook was complaining because every time they went, Hook won, and you said Hook never won.
Hook never won. Hook never won. We were there 4 times, and Hook never won.
This person said, "I've been 3 times, and Hook won every time. Is that the only one? Is it only always him?" And they were like, "No, it's different every time."
Cruella always wins. What are you talking about? We were so excited when Maleficent won because it was somebody different finally. But yeah, it was for what it is and how fast they put it up.
Yeah.
It's really fantastic.
Good.
I hope that when Villains Land opens in, I don't know, 2050, is that what we are estimating? I mean, when Villains Land opens, they could easily move that show. It's very movable. They could easily move it to a theater over there, and it would be a great staple because you could change up your characters all the time. And, I mean, you wouldn't have to have these 3. The script would be really easy to switch up your characters and do different things and make it be different every time you go. I mean, it's got a lot of rewatchability. So it's got a lot going for it. And it was really entertaining. And I had never seen this before. They did the bubbles, right? Like all the shows do. This time they were filled with dry ice. They were like smoky in the room. So it was villainy. And I was like, that's fantastic. Just such a simple thing. But it was fantastic. And all the kids, of course, thought that was the bomb. And, all these kids are kind of getting brought to this show, not knowing what it's going to be. And it's about the bad guys. And I was like, oh my gosh. It was great for little kids. It was great for adults. It hit all the notes.
Yeah.
For a theme park show.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, it's 20 minutes in a theme park. So.
Yeah. Veronica and I were just talking about that when Tony Ann was in the Airbnb in Tennessee hanging out. Veronica, my wife, came on and we talked about only rumors, that maybe Muppet 3D might move over there. They might keep it and they might move that Villains over to Magic Kingdom.
Yes, I think that they either Muppets 3D or some other Muppet show that...
A new, improved Muppet.
They can make that whole area a Muppet courtyard.
Yep.
Yeah, I could totally see that. And then, I mean... And that would make sense. That would make a lot of sense.
The best rumor I saw was turning the Tower of Terror into a Muppet hotel.
That's silly.
That would be cool, though.
We love the Muppets in our family. Don't get me wrong, but that's silly.
Okay.
Please leave Tower of Terror alone. It's the one place left that it's left alone here in the stage. Just leave it alone.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, though. I don't honestly think they're going to leave it alone because it's Twilight Zone, which is owned by CBS. So I think they'd rather use their own IP if they're going to. And Twilight Zone, not a lot of young people know what Twilight Zone is, and just like Aerosmith got
my gray hair shows. I know
marched out. I think Twilight Zone is on its I think it's going to come eventually.
Oh yeah,
Probably.
Nothing stays the
But,
same.
You know, it's just it is what it is. And nothing ever stays the same at Disney, and that's okay. And I'm always shocked at how much better the next thing is, except for Tiana's.
No, I agree with you. Yeah.
My whole family's like, they just kind of shoved this in here. I'm like,
Yeah.
and they were in a hurry, and so shove. So
Well, it Splash was my favorite ride, and I'm always gonna, if somebody has a fast pass, not fast pass, a lightning lane or something, I'm always gonna want to ride Tiana's. If it's a 10-minute wait, I'll ride it, but I don't think I'll fall over myself to ride it.
No.
Whereas for Splash, I would have made a beeline for it.
yeah, it'll always be on our list of things to do, and we are lightning lane purchasers, so we will. Yeah, so we will always ride it, but yeah, it's not lived up to the hype, I don't think. I mean, we waited forever in a queue because we had a Magic go see it early pass last year because we were on our trip before it opened, and
Right.
I got off of it and went, well, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Well, my son's feeling was, and he's right, I think there's no storyline. There's no conflict. There's nothing for you to be like, oh no, this is going to happen.
Right. There's that moment where you were scared to go up that lift hill because their bad guys had been there, and it built the anticipation of where were you going as you went up that magic lift hill to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think if they had stayed true to the movie, they could have.
Do you know why they didn't, though? Because of my rebel scum daughter.
Why?
If you ask her, that is the scariest movie that Disney has ever made.
That's perfect.
She is like, it is. That guy was creepy, and that was scary. Between that and Tangled, those are the two scariest.
But if you were going up the hill because he was sending you up the hill, it would have been a lot more scary. It would have been. And the anticipation would have been there.
The anticipation. It just, we didn't have any bad guy, and it, whatever. It's like, yay, we're going to a party. But yeah, it's Disney.
Is that your unpopular? Do you have any unpopular opinions at Walt Disney World?
As you shared on the podcast a few weeks back, I am a feet in cement Ohana sucks person.
Dave and I are not fans of Ohana either. So
Ohana is a overpriced Asian fusion, because it's not even Asian and it's not really even Polynesian. Asian Polynesian fusion meal that is slapped together, cheap, piled onto plates. You get rushed in, sat down, fed, and rushed out. And what do they feed you? Meat, which makes you feel like puke for the rest of the day.
Well, the meat isn't good quality. I think that was the problem. The steak was so chewy, and we tried it rare. We tried it cooked, well done. We tried it all different. You couldn't. It just wasn't. The steak was poor quality.
Bread pudding is great. It's a great dessert. There are so many better desserts on Disney property than even the best bread. Even the best bread pudding doesn't even hold a candle to some of the other desserts on property.
Yeah.
So, no,
I like the bread pudding, but I agree with you about the price point, the rushing, and the quality of the meat.
The main meal. Yeah, it's just the main meal. I mean, it's spaghetti noodles in a bowl.
Yeah,
I
hate to be rushed when I'm eating too. I just want to relax and just chill for a minute.
That's why you book a table service meal, is to give your family some time to sit down in air conditioning and take a break. And if you're going to spend that much money in the evening and they have characters there in the morning, why the heck don't they have characters? If that price point, there should be characters there in the evening too. That is just ridiculous that there are not characters there. It's silly. So Ohana is never again. Never again. I went once for breakfast too. Breakfast was fine because we had to meet Stitch, and
I've had bad breakfast experiences there too.
Yeah,
where it took forever, and the characters were taking forever, and we wanted to get to the parks and.
Well, no, our breakfast was like 11 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
It was like our start of our midday break because mommy enforced break time. So,
all right.
Yeah, it was Ohana is, and also if we're on the food thing, Disney needs to stop trying to do barbecue. I'm just saying it.
Yeah, and I think because of where you come from, you can get really good barbecue, and I think you know that.
Yes.
And I have I have friends from Texas who say the same thing. But then I have friends from New England who think that Regal Eagle is amazing.
And that's when I always go, would you please come visit me? Don't even come all the way. Just go to Kansas City. I'll meet you there. I'll take you to 5 different restaurants, one of them in a gas station, and you will see. And they're all different. They're all different kinds of food, all different kinds of barbecue. And I'll show you barbecue. Come on, people. This is, we did. We've had we've had actually at Le Cellier, we had pretty good steak. Mm-hmm. But we don't really like to also pay for steak when we are down there because we do live in Nebraska where our cows outnumber people quite by like 3 to 1. And so we get good steak here all the time. And we get it at our grocery store. We don't even have to go to a restaurant to get really good quality steaks. So, yeah, it's like, but I'll eat at the France Pavilion all week. I'll scooter eats in and pick up lunch, dinner, and breakfast. It'll be fine. It'll be fine for my family. We actually find that it's so hot. Usually we don't eat a lot anyway. You know, one reasonable meal a day, and then we kind of pick the rest of the day because it's just too hot to eat.
I love the scooter eats. I love that.
It's our new thing. Scooter eats. Mom, go to scooter eats.
I'm going to use it now with all my friends that have scooters.
There you go. Tell them you can be scooter eats.
Yeah, that's
You're
right.
in charge.
Marianne told me so.
That's right. Marianne's boss. That's right. No, she's not. Only in a classroom in her household is she the boss. So,
yeah, that's 2 good ones.
Although if you ask my students, they'd probably tell you I was not the boss. So, you know, I teach 5-year-olds. You know, that's a hit or miss.
Yeah, that's
a hit or miss. Whether I'm the boss or not. So.
Yeah, that's unusual. That's a good age right there. Yeah,
they're an interesting crew. So, I think the other thing, especially about our trips, and I think this is what I tell everyone who is planning a Disney trip for their first time, because Tom goes to work and he works for the Army, so he is a civilian. With Corps of Engineers. And so he knows all these Army people and all that. And he explains that I plan our Disney trips like the Army plans incursions. And that's what he tells everybody. And it's embarrassing and true. And so we usually I end up with 2 or 3 phone calls a month from people he works with or friends of ours from church or that kind of thing. You guys go to Disney, right? Yeah, we go to Disney. So what should we do? And I go, you should make sure to do 3 things. And they go, okay. I said, you need to watch YouTube.
Right.
You need to know what you're getting into. You cannot walk in blind. It is silly to walk in blind. You need to watch YouTube and make a kind of a plan, not an incursion-like plan, a gentle framework for what you want to do every day. I said, and then your second thing is time equals money.
Right.
I am married to the cheapest man on the planet. He will tell you that, and hands down. But when they changed fast passes to lightning lanes and started to charge us, he tried to throw a fit and make me not buy them. And I said, let me take you back to a time in history. And I said, there was a day. And he goes, oh, yeah. And I went, yeah. You really want to wait in lines? Mm-hmm. He goes, no. And I said, okay, then we need to buy lightning lanes then. You always budget lightning lanes. You can eat kids' meals for a week. You can eat hot dogs and, you can bring groceries into your room. But you need to buy lightning lanes, especially if it's your once in a lifetime trip. You absolutely need to. Or if it's your once every 5 years trip, you absolutely need to. You Florida people that are there monthly or, everyone, you don't need lightning lanes. But people like us to go once a year or maybe twice a year if we're lucky, we need lightning lanes to have fun.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, and then you've got to remember that this is not a vacation. I'm so sorry. No one's sleeping in. Because Florida is so freaking hot.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to do rope drop. You have to be there first thing in the morning, hit it hard for those first 2 hours. And then everybody's going to start to peter because it's going to get hot.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can kind of slow down and do some other things. And then you're going to go back and you're going to rest. And you're going to be okay with the fact that when you come home from Disney World, you will not have seen everything.
Mm.
There is no way. We were there. We were gone. We were there 11 nights. You would have thought we saw everything.
Nope.
No way.
Mm-mm.
No way.
I've been a pass holder for almost 20 years and I haven't seen everything. There's still restaurants I haven't tried. There's still things I haven't seen.
Yes. You have to make priorities on your list, which is why you ought to watch YouTube. So you got, and that's very helpful because you see 2 or 3 different people do 2 or 3 things. We had good family friends that wanted to go to Disney and they wanted to go with us. And I was like, great, we'll all go. So 3 years ago, I shepherded 14 cats all through Disney World for a week. And it was a long week of 14 cats. Everybody wanting to go all the different directions and all the different things. Shiny thing, go, go, go. And I'm like, no, come back. We have a plan. And she looked at me one day. She goes, okay, so I'd seen on YouTube this thing where you spend a day and you do all the different Disney transportations. And I said, do you really want to waste a day riding buses and monorails and boats and Skyliners? She goes, well, I want to make sure we ride them all. And I said, yeah, but we don't have to do them all in the same day.
Right.
We're not going to do that. I said, but we will ride them all. And she goes, okay, because she had seen somebody do something.
Right. Somebody who goes to Disney for a living every day.
Coming up
needed
with content.
That's right. They needed content.
And she thought, oh, well, that looks cool and fun. And her, at the time, 13-year-old son, who was not all that impressed with Disney so far, it was early in the trip, and we hadn't done Guardians yet. And he wasn't all that sure about, this whole Disney thing yet, because we had started it at Magic Kingdom, because and he was unimpressed. Well, he loved Tron, but everything else he was pretty unimpressed.
Right.
So I just shook my head and went, no, he's not going to like that. He's 13. No. He's going to look at you and go, you're kidding.
Right.
So I was like, yeah, you can't believe everything, but that's why you watch and go, oh, okay, we could do that. Or if you had, like my oldest, when he was 7, a day doing all the Disney transportation. Now, we would have had to go into parks because we would have had to include the train because Thomas the Tank Engine was life in his childhood.
Dominic too.
And we would have had to do that. But a day doing all the Disney transportation, yeah, he would have done that in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Dominic too.
But, 14 cats who all wanted to go ride Tron 3 times in a row. And I'd be like, dudes, we can't. We can only ride it once because we got a virtual queue. Thank God we get to ride it once, and we paid for it once. So you get it twice. But that's, that's it. There's no line. What do you mean there's no line? Yeah, that's why you're supposed to watch YouTube.
And that's why you're with me, because you can thank me later.
Yeah. So, but we did. We had the best trip. Yeah. But it was one of those things that those 3 things, watching YouTube and planning, being willing to pay. And also when you're there with your kids, I get it. Nobody wants to spend $20 on a balloon and nobody wants to buy a bubble wand, but read the room. If it's going to be a meltdown, you are on vacation. You already spent $20,000, people. We know that. You already spent $20,000 or close to it if you flew.
Yeah.
A $20 balloon isn't going to kill you. And then you have a happy kid.
Yeah.
Because that kid who's unhappy and screaming will totally ruin the rest of your day.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes that $20 is
Money well
Just have-
spent. Yes.
You know, I mean, that and the snacks in your backpack.
Oh, yeah.
Katie
Yeah.
still laughs that I carry like a full family of 5 snacks in our backpack, even if it's just her and I. And she laughs. She goes, "What do we need all this for?" I said, "You just wait." We get in line, and we're waiting in the sun in a line for the people mover. In a line for the people mover.
I know.
We're waiting, and this little boy in front of us is over it. He's 4. It's almost noon. He is over it, and he is with Grandpa.
Mhm.
Everybody else went to ride Space Mountain.
Right.
Oh.
And I looked down at him, and I looked at Grandpa. I said, "Grandpa, I have some magic goldfish in my bag. Would you like a bag of magic goldfish?" And he goes, "Do you really?" I said, "Yeah, they're magic." And he goes, "Okay." And I handed him a bag of a gold bag of goldfish, and his little guy ate the goldfish, and then he was a totally different kid.
Yep.
Right.
And Grandpa looked at me, he goes, "Those were magical." I said, "Yep."
Pixie dust
Yep.
goldfish.
They're just, they're goldfish hit different in line when you're hot and hungry.
That's
So-
right. That's right.
I pass out a lot of goldfish and a lot of fruit snacks and things to kids in lines after I ask their parents first because I'm a
Right.
teacher. But because it makes my line
Right.
experience more pleasant too, because that kid
Right.
is pitching a fit and
Right.
making my teacher blood pressure go through the roof. So
Right on. And you have the patience because you're a teacher, see?
yeah.
You know what to do.
Katie laughed because one day she goes, "Did you repack the snacks?" I said, "Yes." She
Yeah.
goes, "Good, because it's going to be a hot one." I said, "Yes, okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be a hot one."
Waters and
We'll need
snacks. Waters and snacks.
We carry our Brita refillable water bottles because I don't know what is in your water down there, but it tastes like
It's-
alligators peed in it. So
It's sulfur.
Orlando, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
is it just in Orlando that's like that?
It's parts of Florida, but like other parts of Florida have good, like Zephyr Hills, that spring is, they
Right.
bottle that water and sell it around the country.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, that's true because I swear we go to Orlando every time and we're like, "Oh man."
yeah, the water in Orlando's gross.
If we had, I mean, it ruins soda when we get sodas with ice.
Oh, yeah.
As soon
Yeah.
as the ice starts to melt, I'm like, "Oh, my Diet Coke is ruined." And Tom goes, "Well, I'll drink it," because he's like, he doesn't care, but he's a man.
There's
He
a
doesn't
McDonald's in the next county that doesn't filter they don't have a filter on their fountain, and the soda is so gross.
care. I was gonna say McDonald's.
Yeah, this one in particular, and I forget sometimes, and I'm like, I'll get a Coke, and I'm like, oh, I forgot this McDonald's is gross.
Oh man, I would be sad. That's one of our traditions is that when we get back to MCO, the kids always have either McDonald's or Chipotle. And I always have a giant McDonald's Diet Coke because they filter their water there. That one. And
Most of them do. I don't know why this one doesn't. It's
they
just
do. And
yeah.
that's before we get on an airplane to trek home. That's what we need. So
Yep.
Chipotle for breakfast.
Sounds good.
We always have ice cream for breakfast one day on a trip.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We do. We always have Mickey bars one day, and usually Animal Kingdom because I know we're leaving early enough that I can feed people real food after we leave, and because I can't even feed them in Animal Kingdom. I have the
I
chicken
think
nugget.
Animal Kingdom has the best food.
I know, but I have the chicken nugget hot dog French fry people.
Oh, okay.
I
get it.
have if it's not brown, I don't eat it.
Oh, no.
That kind of food people. And so, it's like I have one adventurous eater who would love Tiffin's and would, totally stay and go to Tiffin's. But everybody else would look at me and go, "Do they have chicken nuggets?" No, baby. No, baby. They do not.
They actually do. They actually.
They have them. They call them boneless wings.
Bethany Vinton says the chicken nuggets at Tiffin's are great because she gets them at Nomad Lounge, but they're from Tiffin's.
Yeah.
So actually, they do.
So Katie is our last baby. And she is going to college in the fall.
Oh.
And so and she's going 8 hours away the other direction. She's going to Rapid City, South Dakota. The kids, the big
rebel
kids,
scum.
the rebel scum are in St. Louis, Missouri. They both landed there with their jobs. So, and I was like, next year, I was like, I don't even know, because Kate will probably have an internship, and the big kids PTO is precious. And so they haven't wanted to go on a trip. I'm going to have to go to Alani to get everybody, I think, to go is what the deal is. Not going to be next summer because I'm going to have to bank and borrow so we can have a big enough group. But I was like, maybe Tom and I can go for just a couple of days by ourselves to Disney World. We haven't done that for several years.
That would be nice.
And we could do things at our pace. And that means we can rope drop the Nomad Lounge and rope drop La Cava and and all those things, and sit at baseline even though the music is crap. And I could do that. I could do a trip where I did all the lounges and then do the DVC lounges. And
well, after all those years of taking the kids, you deserve it. You need to do it.
Yeah. So, because we always have had kids with us, and so we have kind of avoid those kinds of places, even though most of them are kid friendly and all that.
Right.
We
You
still
could go to GO82 and spend $40 for a drink.
Yeah, that's not happening. The only way that's happening is if I book the super expensive fireworks package and don't tell him how much it costs.
Right. Well, our friend Gina Simpson says the fireworks package was amazing. She said the view of the fireworks from there was wonderful.
If it was,
she really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's a little pricey though.
We have attitude about fireworks, so
yeah. Well,
we are happily ever after people. We are not luminous. So
I get it.
We've watched it a couple times now and went, okay. Well, that part was really good, and that part was really good musically, and but yes, the only way I'm going to GO82 is if I'm sneakily putting some magical reservations on and going, it was a deal, honey. Don't worry about it.
And
I got it. He won't look real careful at this point because he won't want to have the fight. So as long as it's all paid for before we go, he doesn't really care.
Good.
Perfect.
So.
Good.
Marianne, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. We've been trying really hard to get you on and so glad to finally have you.
So glad to join you guys. I really enjoy reading the stuff in the Disney Crush Facebook group. It's a fantastic group of people. And I really enjoy listening to the show. And while I'm not probably in there as I'd like to be a crusher. I'm not sure I participate enough to equal a crusher, but I sure would like to be a crusher because you guys are cool.
Oh, thank you.
No, you're a crusher.
You're pretty cool too.
Your cool snarkiness and your honesty really, really got me. And I said, we have to have her on the show.
Right. Yeah. And your love of baguettes now. You're
my
soul sister.
Yeah, right. The pictures of my orphan children sitting along eating their baguettes. It looks just like out of the French Revolution.
And you get all the butter you want too, which is great too. They give you a lot of butter.
It's good European butter.
Oh, the butter's the best. Oh my gosh. Love butter. All right, Tony Ann. Well, you got anything else?
I don't think so, Dave.
All right. Marianne, do you have anything to peddle or you got any? No,
I don't.
Nothing. You're not anywhere else or traveling agent. Not one of those.
No, I don't
Etsy
do
store.
That travel agent gig. I don't have an Etsy store. I'm not cool because when I go home from Disney,
too busy.
I'm a teacher and a mom and a girl who spends a lot of time with her church family and our adopted families, and I'm a busy mom. So I haven't had a lot of time for that kind of thing, I mean, heavens to Betsy, I've got all the materials over there on the arts and crafts shelf to make all the ears and make all the things, and one of these days, maybe I'll retire and be that girl. But right now, I just really enjoy planning my own Disney trips and planning all of yours in my own head for free and telling you what you're doing wrong. I love doing that too.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on.
You're so welcome. Have a great day.
All right. We will see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.
I think that's it. All right.
The key of truth has spoken.
Put a check on that. Can you do that, Dave? Can you put a check on that one?